Welcome to Beyond the Walls, a podcast where faith doesn't stop on Sunday morning. Together we'll explore what it looks like to take your faith to where you live, where you work, and where you do everyday life. I'm Jared Kendall, joined by Cameron Jinks and Jordan Sheehy. Come with us as we discuss what it looks like to have real faith beyond the walls.
What's going on, podcast world? This is Jordan.
This is Cameron.
And this is Jared. Man, today we're excited to introduce some of our friends with you today. Theo and Gina Barley are here with us for our first real episode of the Beyond the Walls podcast.
What's up, crew?
Hey
guys.
How are you guys?
We're super excited. Hey, we just want to start this out really simple. We'd love to know a little bit about you. Not long, just briefly. Who are you? Where'd you come from? What's your story? How'd you guys meet?
Well, my name is Theo Barley. I am originally from Houston, Texas area. And yeah, I just met Gina in actually Joplin, Missouri. Is where we met at. When I graduated trade school, I moved to Missouri and met her, and she'll tell you where she's from.
I'm from Clinton, Illinois, a small farming community. And I went to Ozark Christian College in Joplin for college. And my senior year, my roommate put me on a blind date. And back then, it was a real blind date.
Heck yeah. Come on.
There was no social media to actually look somebody up and stalk them. So we went on a blind date. And here we are, almost 23 years later.
Ooh. Yeah.
In a few weeks.
Yeah. That's incredible. Love from a car dealership.
Used cars or just
New cars.
He was the service advisor where I got my car service.
Yeah.
Oh.
And my, yeah. Anyway,
love it.
Here we
Love
are.
it. Well, what brought you guys here to FBC?
well, I would say, I don't know, we've been here 3 years now. I think it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
And so our son, Josiah, he's a senior now. He was coming to youth group. I don't know. Jordan, was he in 7th grade, I think?
Yeah, because we had 6th graders at that time. Yeah, he's in 7th grade.
So 7th grade, his friend Sutton invited him and he came. And so he was coming to youth for a long time before we decided to come. And so we're thankful for those who brought him, and he came to church. And then Jordan, about 3 years ago, asked me to go to Falls Creek. We weren't even really here at church yet. And I was like, okay, I'll go to Falls Creek. This is fun. And then after that, I came back and I said, Theo, I think we need to be where our kids want to be at.
Yeah.
That trick worked.
Yeah.
His trick worked. So a few months after that, we were at a church that we did love and we were very involved in Joplin, but we needed to be where our community was.
Yeah.
And where our
absolutely.
students or our kids went to school with these other students. And so we made the switch, and now it's been 3 years.
Yeah, she came home and said that, and I was like, I've been feeling that as well. We didn't have a conversation about it, but like she said, we just believe that we should be serving our community a whole lot more. So that's when we made the step to come here.
I love to see how the Spirit often unites the souls, like the minds together before you guys even get to speak about things. Super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's awesome to see how the Lord showed both of you guys that same thing, and I'm super thankful that He brought you guys here, and we got to sit down and have that conversation before you guys came. So we're thankful for that. Yeah. One of the things I know you guys are passionate about as a married couple is how to steward your finances well. You realize that you guys are managers, that we're all managers, that God allows us to manage our finances. And so part of our faith and our obedience is stewarding what He gives us through our finances.
Absolutely.
So why don't you guys talk a little bit about that? Why are you passionate about that? And what does that actually mean?
I think Theo needs to tell why he got passionate about that.
So I got passionate about that because where I grew up, my family, you get money, you spend money. That's the way it was. It's like you get money, you spend money. Well, guess what? Rent comes due every single month, and if you continue in that path, then you have nothing to show for it. And I believe that I did not want to grow up the way that my parents grew up, and so I decided to take another step as well on that side, and
What about a certain car situation?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's something
Hey,
deeper.
I was following in that family tradition of getting my car repoed. So that was an opening eye for me, being so far from home. I was in Joplin, Missouri, and I was sitting at home watching The Young and the Restless. Just chilling out for lunch.
My goodness.
About to fall asleep, and I had a roommate. And he looked out there. He's like, "Hey man, they're towing your car away." I said, "What?" And so I jumped up and ran outside and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm here to repo your car." I was like, okay. I said, "Just let me get some stuff out of it." So I think that was a big eye opener to me because, you're 8 hours, 10 hours away from home and no vehicle. And so, but luckily I was only 1 block away from my job. So I was able to walk to my job on that side. And, once that happened, it kind of like the scales fell off my eyes. And I was like, man, I've been really far away from what the Lord is wanting me to be. And so that night I went inside and said, okay, you got my attention, on that side. And then I walked to work the next day, truly dedicate my life to Christ. Like just that quick, he showed up and this little red beater of a Toyota Tercel was there.
They even make those anymore?
They don't make them no more. But man, that joker got 40 miles to the gallon and stuff. But
That's crazy.
But it was not there when I left work. And then when I got back to work, it was there. And so I called the guys across the street. I said, "Hey, what's this red car?" And they go, "Oh, it's one we trade in. We're going to send it to auction." I said, "Well, how much you take for it?" They said $500. I said, "Well, let me see if I can get it running first. If I can, then I'll give you $500." And I got it running that same night, put an inspection sticker on it, drove it home. It's like, and I drove that thing for multiple years before I ended up trading it for something else. So eye-opening situations really will turn you back to what God wants you to, where you be.
So what was the car that got repoed though?
The car that got repoed was a brand new,
We're all wondering.
1-year-old 1994 Saturn SL.
Ooh, a Saturn.
Yeah, it was
Saturn.
it was like the second year that they came out with them. Man, it was a sleek white car, tinted windows, 5-speed.
That lasted about how long? How long do you have that car?
About a year. Hey, it got me to Joplin, Missouri.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
That was much later.
That's why him and
Much
Gina
later.
got together, was he needed a car and she had one.
He actually drove a Ford Mustang convertible
thank
when
you.
I met him.
Ruiner.
That helped on the blind date situation.
Did you borrow that from somebody? Or?
No, I own that baby.
So when we were young and no kids, that was our first car, and
Yeah.
we thought we were cool.
That was one of those.
We'll be cool again someday.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was one of those cars where the insurance payment was higher than the car payment was. Yeah.
So the Lord obviously began speaking to you about finances and all
Yes.
that. I mean, through a
Yes.
very practical way.
Yes.
How has that? I mean, first, how long have y'all been married, and how has that, transformed your marriage, and how you all think as a couple about your finances?
Well, we'll be married 23 years, February 1st.
I got married when you were 8.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Yes. And we, when I first met him, I mean, we didn't date very long. We were married. That's another story. But I just remember after we got married, our very first paychecks, Theo was like, "All right, we're gonna, I gotta write a check to the church." And I was like, "What?" I mean, I knew about tithing and finances, but that was the very first thing he had us do. It didn't matter what the other bills were. I was like, I didn't even know what the bills were. We didn't discuss that before we got married. That is not the way to go. That's another podcast. But so I knew really nothing about what we paid rent or anything. I was young. I just didn't know. We didn't talk about it. And the very first thing he wrote was a check to the church. And I was like, okay, so this is kind of how this goes. And I'm thinking, how's that going to work? So anyway, we had that conversation. And, growing up, I knew about tithing, but my dad was a farmer. And so he got paid once a year.
Wow.
And so there was one check written ever in front of me. Or like in the offering plate back then, it was just offering plates. So I only saw one check ever being given to the church. And so it wasn't like a weekly thing. So it never really, it wasn't really talked about much. But I knew my parents did give because when it happened, it was like a big deal. But anyway, so from our very first bill situation, that was something that my husband just said, this is what we do. And that's how that started.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's because I've seen both sides of it. I've seen those who haven't gave, who were stingy and, would rather spend their finances on things outside of what the Lord is wanting. And I've seen those who have, and those who have, I've seen them walk a totally different path, a peaceful path, a non-worrying path throughout all of that. And I was like, okay, do you want to be over here where you're struggling and every fight is about finances and why'd you do this and why'd you do that? I can remember when my stepdad came home and bought a vehicle without my mom knowing. And just like, what? Yeah. And I did not want to grow up in that type of manner on that side because my mom was a giver and she still is to this day. She's a giver. My stepdad has passed away, but yeah, my mom is a total giver, even to this day. Like she'll cook a meal. You stop by her house and say you're hungry, she'll whip up something for you and give it to you. And that's the type of person I want to be.
They say that two biggest factors for couples getting divorced usually are parenting and finances. Finances obviously play a very significant role in your marriage and being able to talk about those things beforehand. If you know Theo at all, you know the guy talks about Dave Ramsey every once in a while. When did Dave Ramsey hit this storyline? Like, was that in the midst of that?
So I was still working in Joplin, and my guy next to me, Travis Jones, he was like, "Hey man," he's like, "I've seen you and Gina talk about finances and stuff." He's like, "I think you'd absolutely love this. So here's a video set." He's like, "You need to watch it because I think you guys would do great with it." And so he gave me that, and I was like pumped. I come home, I was like, I gave it to Gina, and
this was years into our marriage.
Oh yeah,
so.
yeah. This was probably 5 years into it.
Okay.
And so I was pumped. I came home, we sat down, we watched it. I don't know. Were you like on board immediately, or were you kind of cautious? I couldn't remember.
I'm always cautious.
Yeah.
About a lot of things.
Yeah. Theo's always head in.
Yeah. But even when we started doing the finances, this is one scene that I can definitely remember to the T, and that is we needed some batteries. I went to Walgreens and bought batteries, and they were buy one, get one free, or buy two, get one free, So I was like, okay, well, I'll buy two of them. And this is while we're on the Dave Ramsey plan, so our budget is like tight. And so I come back home, and the batteries end up being close to, $18, I think. And so she, the next day, she's like, "Did you go buy batteries or something at Walgreens for $18? I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, next time you want to do that, you may want to tell me." And I was like, "It's just batteries." I said, "We need a battery." She's like, "You think you can do this better?" Swoon! Threw the checkbook at me.
I think he's making this up. I do not remember this at all.
Slap it. Bam!
Now, I do remember probably being mad about $18 batteries when you could have got them for probably $4. But
So I remember that specifically. So it was a challenge there. But hey, we grow in it, we learn in it, and we moved on, forgave each other, and obviously.
And I'm in charge of buying batteries to this day.
You guys have talked a little bit about giving to the church, and that's only one piece of stewarding our money well.
Definitely.
It's an obedience issue in my mind. We here at church, we don't talk about giving a whole lot.
You make me talk about it every week.
That's why Jordan gets up there. We're not money hungry at all. But it is an issue of obedience, and I think that's why it's a strong conviction for you guys. Can you talk a little bit more about that? We've heard how it became a strong conviction for you, but why is it still all these years later so important for you? Not just to tithe or to give to the church, but to steward your resources well for your legacy even?
I just think we've just seen the blessing in it. And it's not that it's always easy, because as we went further on in life, obviously our jobs changed. And so at times we had, got bigger jobs with more money. And so that meant your tithe goes up and you start looking at that amount and you think, man, that's a really nice car payment possibly, or that's a really, what could we be doing with that? But it's not, you just end up seeing the blessing. I think we see more of what doesn't happen to our lives.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I think we see that God allows our vehicles to last longer, that we aren't always having to buy a new washer, or that our kids are healthy. We felt very strongly, felt very strongly convicted that if I continue to do this, I felt like God was going to take care of my kids and not have to miss work a lot. I didn't ever really have to miss work a lot when I worked full time. Like, I just see that God takes care of some of the things that we have no control over and that maybe you don't see. So it's maybe not in material things that he has shown us the blessings. It's in all the things we don't necessarily see every day.
Yeah, and she talks about the health side of it. In the 25 years that I worked in Joplin, I can count on my hands how many days I've missed work in 25 years. And no overnight stays in hospitals. I may have caught the flu, for a few days.
And it's not that God, not that we don't get sick or, and we're not tying money and health and all that, but we just really see that we feel like God really does try to bless us in other ways besides maybe always finances. Now, has there been times that we've prayed that we've needed something and a check has shown up in the mail, literally?
Yeah.
That has happened.
Yeah.
But we just see that God just has taken care of us. And we've tried to help other people see the need and, take that step of faith. And, it can be a struggle to start in that situation.
And it's to show the love of God. It's to show what God can do. In 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 10, it says, "He who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will supply and multiply your seed for sowing and increase to harvest, to harvest of your righteousness. You will be enriched in every way. Why would you be enriched? And here's why. To be generous in every way. You will be enriched in every way, to be generous in every way.
Yeah.
It's not to hold on to it and brag and boast about what you got.
Right.
It's about giving in secret. I mean, there's been times that we've dropped some tickets off at people's doors, without them knowing it, and we don't want credit for it.
Yeah.
We don't want the boast for it. We've blessed babysitters, with extra money just because we could, those type of things, and it's so that God can be glorified through us. We don't want the glory out of it. We don't want it at all. We want to give glory to others. We want to be a blessing to others, and that's why we give unto God first, so that we be able to give unto others later.
That's really good.
I love that. Just to clarify, so if I don't give $19.99 online to that guy that's on the radio, he won't make me wealthy, right?
It's $23, I think, now. So it went up a little bit,
Inflation.
That's exactly
No, I think that's
right.
great though to hear. Like, it's not the call of if you give, God's just going to give you financially so much wealth. It's you see the
No.
blessings of life, and you get to experience generosity and what it means to live out the fullness of your calling, not being dependent on money or finances, but being dependent on the Lord in this season. And that's obviously why you guys give first to the church. Like
Absolutely.
you realize my finances are only here because of what the Lord supplied for me.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to lie, there were seasons in our life where money was tight, and I was like, I can't look at you writing that check. I mean,
We've had that conversation in our house before.
I can't look at you doing it because it makes me nervous, because as a woman, finances, financial security is important to women. Like that's, research it. It's true. And so I have, there was times I was like, you're just going to have to take it over because I cannot write it.
Yeah.
And so it is about faith. It's not that we have it down all the time. It's that it is a leap of faith at times in your life.
We did the same thing. Honestly, the roles were kind of reversed. I did all the finances in our marriage, or do all the finances in our marriage. But early on, I didn't think we could afford to tithe. And so there came a point when I had Bethany write the check, and it'd be really bad if the pastor's check bounced in the on Monday at the church office. But that's how, we had to do that because I believed in that obedience, and it's not always easy.
Yeah.
So just thinking through all this, we've talked about the importance of it and the part of obedience, but man, there's probably some people out there that are like, man, how do I even begin? I don't even know what stewarding my finances well looks like. So let's talk a little bit about that for a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've heard a lot of preachers say, oh, you haven't tithed in 10 years, so you got to give God, that plus, extra percentage.
Oh, God.
I'm like,
Interest.
what? And I'm like, I always tell people, start with what you can do.
Yeah.
Start with what you can do, because it even says in the Bible, test me in this.
Yeah.
And I will prove to you, that I will open up windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that you won't have room to receive, And when I started my swimming pool business, that was one thing that I noticed is the jumps from year to year to year. And now I'm to the point where someone asked me, you going to have a busy pool season? I said, I'm going to try not to. I was like, because it is overly packed. I was like, I can't take any more. I can't take any more people because I'm getting home too late. And the whole reason why I did this is so that I can spend time with family, And so it proves, and I give out of my business. I give tithes out of my business, and it has never failed and never came back. But to start with what you can do, and test them in it. If you can do 10%, then do 10%. If you can do 5%, do 5%. And see what happens. And
I think one thing that Christians also just need to understand, even if this is a new concept, that even unsaved people, especially wealthy unsaved people, believe in tithing.
Yes.
They believe in giving at least 10%. So if you research that kind of, that even unsaved people understand that there's something about giving.
Yeah.
Whether it's to the church or whatever they give to, they give. Not just for a tax write-off. They know there's a blessing in it somehow, some way. And so I just think people just got to start and maybe just do a leap of faith. There was one season that we felt like we were called to give a special Easter offering one time. And we were like, we don't have any money to do this, extra. We just don't. So we literally sold a hot tub.
Yeah.
We sold a hot tub.
Yeah.
To give extra, and just to see okay, we're just going to do this. Do we miss that hot tub? No. You know what I mean? It's just stuff. You have to do something to prove to yourself that God's going to be faithful.
Yeah.
How do I, hypothetically, how do I start practically budgeting for my family? Where do I start?
So there's multiple.
Well, you know what he's going to say.
Yeah, you already know. Definitely, there's some resources out there. There's multiple resources out there. The one that I found, the tool that I found that works for me is Financial Peace University, Dave Ramsey, however you want to look at it up. That tool works for me. On that side, it works for us. When we first got started, where you sit down, you list out, the items that you owe to people, how much bills are coming out each month, those type of things, how much you spend
Debt
on
you
groceries,
have.
how much debt you have. If you don't know how much debt you have, you can get a free credit report online now. You probably have to risk your email, if anything, but it is free. The government allows you to have that for free through 3 different ones, and see what's out there, because I ran mine one time, and they had my brother's debt on mine, and I was like, well, what is this? I never bought a ring from this place. And so I called him. He's like, oh, yeah, that's me. And so I had to dispute it, and they kicked it off. But with those type of things. But that's where you start. Find tools online. You can go to that Financial Peace University website. He'll give you the steps for free there. is the one that I found will help me the most.
Yeah, and it just there's apps you can use
There's apps. Yeah, every dollar
help-
app is a
to
good one.
help budget, but just having an open and honest conversation of especially if you're married, the spouse, like with your spouse, knowing what bills are coming in, or what money's coming in, and what money's going out.
Yeah.
And Dave Ramsey does really talk about sharing your finances with your spouse, like what's his is mine and mine is his, and combining your finances if you're married, and just having a guide. You got to put it on paper and face the facts.
Yes.
Facts are hard to face at times. There are seasons in our life where we don't want to see what's on paper.
Yeah. And the conversations probably be heated, in between, well, I want to spend money on this. Well, I want to spend money on this.
And Dave Ramsey does talk about like one person's let's do it, and
A
the
giver.
other, and another one's like an
One's a
avoidant.
spender. Yeah.
One's a giver, one's a spender, and then somebody wants to attack it, and the other one's an avoider. I'm probably the avoider. But.
You mentioned it, but I just want to mention it again. You could use university. What's it called again? Remind me.
Financial Peace University.
And you could go digital or you could go physical copy there. And then you could download the app. He mentioned it, Every Dollar app, which is right there in front of you. It makes you walk through all the steps very clearly. It's a free app. You can actually buy the extra version of it and get a couple more things in it. But it's a great place to start.
I would say if you're going to start this and like really look at it, you have to put the giving in it too.
Absolutely.
That's a great place
Absolutely.
to start.
Top of the line.
Like if you're going to start with, looking at your finances, make that a expense.
Yeah.
Like make that a bill. I don't know if that's what it's called, but you make it to where it's there.
Category. You
It's
make
a
it
category.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to budget for it again.
Yeah.
So.
Man, what a great conversation today. I was reminded of Psalm 50 that says God owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. Everything is his, and he just allows us to manage it, whether it's a job, whether it's our checkbook, our savings account, or the lack thereof. And he calls us to be obedient in that. And so part of being a part of a family here at the church is helping each other out with that stuff. It's not fun. It's not easy to talk about a lot of times. It's not something that we want to talk about, but every one of us has money, or a little or a lot, and we need to know how to steward that well. So I would look forward to in the coming months, maybe years, of being able to have a financial class here at church to help us better steward our money individually and as a church. And so, man, today we're so thankful that Theo and Gina have come in and been open and honest with us, and gotten to talk a little bit about their finances. Is there any last thing that you guys want to say?
Just real quick, I was reading in the Old Testament to where the givers of the temple that Moses was building, they gave so much that Moses told them to stop.
Wow.
He's like, hey, don't bring no more. Can you imagine if all the saints of God in the church gave so much to the church that you get up there and be like, hey, we have supply for the next 2 years. So if you want to give to other ministries, then do so. That was just something that just popped in my head. So that's all.
I love that.
That's cool.
When you listen to Dave Ramsey, he'll tell you when you're really tight on money, he says eat beans and rice, beans and rice. So if you've ever wondered why Theo is so good looking.
And he says maybe sell your kids if you know.
You ever wonder why Theo is so good
but your
looking?
kids.
Beans and rice.
Brown beans, brown rice.
He says sell everything but your kids. And I will just say Theo got to meet Dave Ramsey when we were on vacation like 10 years ago. And we stopped at his studio, and it was just like the highlight of his life.
You've been on his podcast, right? Or his radio station?
I've been on his radio station. Yes. On his podcast. It was his podcast.
So Dave Ramsey.
Was this podcast better?
Yeah.
Hey, we're getting there. Start throwing it out on some other platforms. We're
good.
Well, obviously, man, full of practicality today, and we always want to challenge everybody to live their faith outside the walls of the church, and so we're trying to make everything very practical for everybody with these podcasts. So we look forward to having more guests on in the future, but man, we just want to say thank you again to you guys. I think this was brought to you by Green to Blue Pools.
Is this our ad segment?
We better get paid for that.
If we were videoing this, Theo's got
And
that
we'll
shirt
tie
on, so we
10%
got
of whatever they do.
No, for real. We say this all the time here at our church, and we have one mission in mind, and that's to love God, love people, and make
Disciples.
disciples.
Get out of here, y'all.
See ya.